All right, we'll give it about 30 seconds or so. It's 20 seconds. Good enough. I don't think they're running ads on the front of my chats as much as they are Matt's. So, what's up, everybody? Finally back. Yeah, I know it's been a hot minute. Sorry about that. It's been super busy. I think the last chat I did was about a month ago. Actually, probably over a month ago. I think it was June. So it's been a hot minute, but glad to be back. Hopefully, we'll get back in the stream of running these every Tuesday or Thursday night. So we'll see what happens, but I'm gonna try to commit to doing this more because I know some people said that they missed it. So yay, back again. Um, I sent invites out to Duke, Honda, and Matt. Don't know if they'll be able to join because I know it's like 5 o'clock Honda's time, so it's dinner time. It's like 6 o'clock Matt's time, so I think it's dinner time for him. Duke, it's probably like dinner time or bedtime or something for him. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, figured I'd fire up another one of these chats, let you guys know what I've been up to the last month and a half ish. Um, we'll discuss some stuff. I know Matt's doing, chats every day of the week now, so I know he'll have a chat later on tonight. But yeah. So I don't really have a whole hell of a lot of topics to discuss. Um, then leave these open for the chats typically. That's what the early chat is for. You guys just kind of throw questions out there or things you're seeing in the news or stuff you want to talk about, and open forum a little bit earlier on the evening for people that can't stay up as late for the more popular chats out there. Guess one of the things I can discuss is I went to my first political rally this past Saturday. Um, See if this gets me kicked off YouTube or this chat kicked off or whatever. I'm going to try to use code words as much as possible, but I went to my first political rally this Saturday. I went to go see the Angry Cheeto Man, mean tweets himself. Uh, it wasn't something I was initially intending to go see. Like I was going up to the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania area actually for other stuff this weekend. Just was going to do a long weekend up there. Um, Visit the person I've been talking to lately. Hang out some. Hang out with friends and whatnot. And found out about this thing last minute. I have some friends that are diehard uh, Trump supporters, so they really wanted to go. So I was like, I'll go. Like it's never been to one of these rallies before. I've never been to an event like that before. I've been to like local campaign stuff or like local mayors and stuff like that. Occasionally, like you'll bump into usually those are like a bar or a restaurant or something like that, right? So, excuse me. So this was at the Mohegan. They call it the Mohegan Sun Arena in Wilkes-Barre. Pretty big arena. It's where they have like all their hockey games and Monster Jam and all that fun stuff, right? So went there. Um, they opened the parking lot. Here's how crazy this event was. So they opened the parking lot at 8 a.m. Trump wasn't supposed to speak until 7 p.m. That's how crazy it was. So friends and I, we had gone out the night before, stayed out till about 2, 3 in the morning. And so I had one group of friends that they were going to go super early that didn't go out with us the night before. They were going to get there at like 7, 8 a.m. because they wanted to get parking. I told my friends, I'm like, there's no way I'm getting up that early. So I got up there. I had to go pick up the person I've been talking to, picked her up, and then we got there for around 11 because the plan was we're going to get parking, go across the street because there's a bunch of restaurants and stuff like that. We'd eat there because instead of spending money on like arena food and stuff, you can go into the AC, the cool, grab a drink, grab food before go back over to the arena. They were opening the doors at 2. Um, they said, that the thing we got from Trump's campaign was opening doors at 2, be there for 3 because it was very much a first come first serve type situation. And then the other speakers who were there were supposed to start at 4. So they had like the guy running for governor that's endorsed by Trump. They had some senators endorsed by Trump, stuff like that. So, which I didn't care about any of them really. Like, kind of wanted to hear what the governor candidate, who I've already forgotten his name, what he has to say because I don't know that much about him outside what I've seen on Wikipedia. And I mean, we know how factual Wikipedia is. Um, so yeah, so we got back over there right around 2 o'clock. It was like 1:30 or so. We got back over, and the line literally looped out the front of the arena, up a row of cars, down that row of cars, up another row of cars, down that row, and like I'll run all the way to the tree line. So the line itself, full length, is probably a good, I'd say, half mile or so, maybe a little bit more than that. Um, which doesn't seem like a lot. Like when you think of a half mile, it's really not that bad, but it's probably actually a little bit more, probably closer to 3/4 of a mile, because it was 3 rows of cars from the front of the arena all the way up to the wood line. So, and this is a big arena parking lot. So, um, it was a good distance. And yes, rough eating. I am doing a chat. I'm back. So, um, just talking about my political rally that I got to attend this Saturday to see the angry tweets guy. Um, so yeah, so we jumped in line around 1:30. Doors were supposed to open at 2, and I figured, like, I knew security was gonna be tight because it's Trump, whatever. I figured like they'd move people in quickly. It was about 4 hours we were in line before we got into the arena. And they had one little TV. I say little. I mean, it wasn't like a jumbo screen, but it was a, like, you know, outdoor projection screen with like some really crappy speakers, so you could at least see the speakers speaking. If you're close enough, you could hear them. Um, but it was interesting going in. It sucked because like the sun came out right around 2 o'clock, so it got super humid. So we were all miserable by the time we got in there, but it was fun. For a Trump rally, it was a lot of it's what I expected, from a standpoint of crowd and just people's reactions and things like that. Um, how is the lever gun mounted vertically? So it's, I mean, technically, I guess it's a lever. That's just a Daisy. Those are actually both um, old Red Ryder BB guns that I bought from a yard sale years ago for like a couple bucks a piece, and they were all rusted and shit. So I just cleaned off the rust off of them and painted them because they're just gonna be wall hangers. Like the internals were broken and seized up and stuff. Um, but the one that's hanging vertically, it is there's a screw um, right through the trigger guard, like not the metal itself, but like it's kind of like dangling on the trigger guard. And then there's another screw because it wants to teeter. So there's another screw on the back side of the rifle and another screw here. So it just basically makes it so it can't teeter this way, and then it just sits like that. And then the other one's just hung up normally, like again, like just a couple screws that's just kind of hanging on. Um, sorry, sidetracked. Um, but yeah, so rally itself, typical crowd I expected, like a lot of. I sent him a link, so we'll see if Matt shows up. I mean, if he wants to come in and yell penis, he most certainly can. I sent him and Honda and Duke a link, so we'll see if any of them show up. But yeah, rally was typical fare I expected. Didn't expect so many people from like New Jersey, New York to show up. I guess it makes sense because New Jersey and New York's not that far from northeastern Pennsylvania. But then there's a lot of people, actually, I say a lot. I probably noticed like 5 or 6 cars from Canada, um, with like people with like a Canadian flag and like a Trump flag. It was kind of weird. I was like, that's not how your politics work, but okay. People from like Kentucky that were up there, and granted they could have moved and just haven't updated their plates or something yet, but interesting group. A lot of people obviously were like peddling Trump stuff and like, oh, vote for this, and oh, the people are coming to take the babies and all that stuff. So you got a lot of like weird little kind of like Bible thumpers and different vendors and stuff trying to sell stuff. So that was kind of weird and annoying, but at the same time, like some of it was cool. Yeah, people. No, it wasn't a gun rights rally. It was and you're good interrupting. I don't mind, man. No, it was a Trump political campaign. I don't even know. I think it was just because Biden had been up there a couple days before peddling shit, so Trump came up there and basically just smashed him the entire time. He came, so we get into the arena, we see like one person like speak, and then there's like an hour lull between the governor speaking and actually there's like an hour and a half. 'Cause Trump was supposed to come out at 7. He didn't come out till almost quarter to 8. But then he comes out and like so that whole time in between, like they're just playing music and there's like all the old boomers are dancing down on the floor. Like it was basically a big party. Like people are dancing and people are just cheering and hooting and there's guys running around with like flags and stuff. And it was fun. Um, but then Trump came out, really kind of riled up the crowd, which it like I think any of us have seen his speeches online, stuff like that. No, he can rile, but it's different when you're there in person to see him rile up a crowd. And I'm not a Trump guy by any means. Like I very much see it the same way as Matt. Like he could have done a lot worse. He surprised me on a lot of stuff he did do. Um, but yeah, it was interesting. And then we didn't end up staying the entire time because we did have another place. We actually had a birthday party up in Scranton, which is like 20-minute drive up the road that we had to go to. But we wanted to get there before their kitchen closed, which was at 10. And we are like, if we wait till Trump finishes speaking, like there's no way we were getting out of that parking lot because the arena itself holds 8,000 people. I think it's just over 8,000. And there was only one small section of seats right behind the media that wasn't filled. Everything else was packed. And then there was people outside. Like there's people in the hallways. There's people outside. So it was a packed event. So yeah, we were like, yeah, we're gonna bail out early because otherwise we're never gonna get out of here. It's just not gonna happen. So we ended up leaving probably about 30 minutes early because he kind of started repeating himself in the speech. He was going on about the whole Mar-a-Lago raid and stuff like that. Just kind of bashing media and stuff, which whatever, like does his stuff. The one thing that was really I shouldn't say it was shocking to me, but there definitely is, and some people are gonna hate to say it, like some blind fanaticism towards him. Fanaticism might be a wrong term, but like there are definitely people that you could see there that thought he was like the second coming of Christ. um, so that was interesting for sure. Like I know those people exist, but there's quite a few. I shouldn't even say quite a few. Like there's a good handful of them that were just like, Trump's gonna protect our Second Amendment, and it's like, maybe, I don't know, maybe, just like random stuff like that. So it was some of that type of stuff that is just like, okay, boomer. But yeah, exactly. The Trump can do no wrong type stuff. Exactly, 100%. But it was pretty cool. Like there's a couple, there's a couple vendors going around, and you see everyone on the left like, oh, Trump supporters are only rich white old guys and stuff. It's like, well, yeah, there was a lot of older boomers there, and I say boomers like as anyone over 40, so don't take offense to it. Because there were a lot of older people there, but then for every two or three of those older people, there was someone my age or younger there. And then there's a couple groups there that were running around. Like there's a couple groups from China that were anti-CCP. Well, I say from China, like they're Chinese Americans that were anti-CCP, going around with the bighorns, like talking crap about whatever the Chinese president guy's name is, and people are like, yeah, going like high fiving them, and then uh, there's a couple guys from all different ethnicities selling stuff, and they're like, yo man, get this shirt, get this Trump shirt, and they're like, I'll give you $5 off, and like people are high fiving them and stuff, and they're getting pictures to it was a bunch of fun. So it was definitely something that I'm happy I went to, as miserable I was most of the time outside because I was just sweating my ass off, and I didn't plan accordingly. I should have brought more water and stuff. I should have prepped for it better, but I didn't. Oh well. Um, exactly. Yeah. A perfect example, Rafi. I mean, the whole take the guns and ask questions later. Yeah, it's weird. A lot of people, it's just like, oh, the fact that it just seems this way in society now. Not with everyone. Like some people are smart enough to tell, but there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you're not a Biden. Oh, you must be a like there's no other option out there. It's like, no, I'm not. Like, granted, if I'm stuck between the two, yeah, I'm gonna go with Trump, but like there are other options. I don't agree with everything he does. Like, unlike you, I don't think everything that Trump has done has been great. I just think he, and I also think that, this post-it notes probably could do a better job than the current guys in office, but it's me. Um, so yeah, but it was interesting. It was a long day for sure though. So like I felt bad I missed out on Honda's chat again because as I said after that I had to shoot up north, go to a birthday party at a bar, and then we didn't get out of there till 2:30, and then did some other stuff until about 5 in the morning. So yay, fun. That was a long day. But yeah, so that was my weekend. That was my long weekend. But outside of that, I'm trying to think what else I've just been, as I said, the past like month and a half, haven't been doing the show because I've been working crazy hours. I'm doing like 10, 12-hour days. Um, and then on the weekends, I think every single weekend for about the last 2 months or so, since the end of June, every single weekend I have, so over 2 months now, with the exception of one weekend. There's one weekend I was home here that I didn't travel up north, and that weekend I actually ended up traveling out to Carlisle, which anyone that knows Pennsylvania, Philadelphia to Carlisle is the same distance, actually a little bit further than going from Philadelphia to Scranton. So either way, I still traveled. I went to a car show that they're holding out there and met some people. So even with that, technically I was traveling. I just got to come home the same night because I left there at like 3 in the afternoon, so I got home around like 5 or 6. But I was just exhausted because it was 90 degrees out with 90% humidity all day. I sweat my ass off. I was super dehydrated. So I didn't hop on Honda's chat that night because I was cooked. But I didn't see. I thought I had heard that he had got another strike, but I felt like that was like a month ago. Did he get another one on top of that? What's up, Corey? Not too bad. Not too bad. Doing doing well. Doing well. Yeah, I didn't hear. I mean, unless he got one recently, I did not hear that he got one. I wonder for what. It was on the 4th. 4th of August or 4th of July? Oh, well, at least it was removed. Well, was it removed because it timed out, or was it removed because they realized they oopsied? Or I should say the 4th of September. So which would have been Saturday. Sorry, guys, I'm like parched. What did he get the strike for? I mean, I know it was removed, but just out of like curiosity. Knowing Honda, he was sharing something spicy. It's usually the reasoning behind it. Uh, oh, okay, 4th of September. Okay, so yeah, so that would have been. I know. Fuck, the 4th was Sunday, which I tried to make the Sunday chat, and I just got a new phone 2 weeks ago, and I thought I had Discord on it. Apparently, I forgot to download it, so I never got his invite. I was sitting. It was funny because I was sitting here on the couch Sunday night, and I was like, 10:15. Honda's didn't send me anything. I guess he's not doing a chat, and so like I went to bed without asking him, and yeah, then I heard about it yesterday. He's like, I sent you guys chats. And I was like, oh fuck, I didn't get it, and I checked. I was like, oh, it's because I don't have Discord on my phone, so. Um, of how not to shoot a shotgun. There's multiple ways how not to shoot a shotgun. Now I'm curious about what that was, but yeah, that Biden chat was interesting. That was for sure. Um, that was fun, which I think that kind of led into the other, probably why Saturday was so busy was because I think Biden dropped that chat Thursday, and I had reserved my seat, I think, on Wednesday, or it might have even been early in the day Thursday. And I think a lot of people signed up for the Trump rally after that speech, to be honest. I'll have to check it out then. Yeah, if it's still up on Rumble, I'll have to check it out and see what he did. But interesting. Interesting. Yeah, it makes me not want to post it. I mean, back in the day when I first had this channel, I posted a lot of shooting video. Oh, I shouldn't say a lot. I posted some shooting videos of like just random crap in my arsenal when I go out to the. Haven't posted those in years, but oh well, that's why you can't show stuff where people are getting shot. Typically, I mean, that's usually a no-no in YouTube's eyes. So I'm not really surprised then if that was the case that that he got a that he got a strike. Should know something bad in that. Well, congrats to 35, sir. Congratulations. Oh, the original videos on. Oh, well, I don't know. I guess that makes some sense because they do like those gun fails and stuff like that, and sometimes people like pop themselves in the leg or like shoot their hand or something like that. As long as it's blurred out, I don't know. I think on those, probably what they do is initially do. I mean, that sounds like what happened here with Honda was like they initially strike it, and then once you can come back and be like, no, this original video's on YouTube, like it's already fine. Like I didn't show anything. It just that it happened. They go, oh, okay. Yeah, if you use it as an educational purpose. Okay. Crazy story. You'll want to read this one out loud. LOL. What story do I want to read out loud? Unlike Matt and Honda, I can actually read. So. Got a message that my car payment was being refunded. Turned out my car loan was paid off. Happy fuck. That's a hell of a birthday present. That is a good birthday present. I actually got to pay mine off here. I have the money to do so. I just haven't. I've literally been. Part of it's too busy. Part of it's lazy to just log on and pay for the damn thing. Because then they got to ship me the title. I have to. Well, I probably have to call them tomorrow because I think my bank knows. I know on my credit card it has me registered for my new address here, but I haven't let them know about my car loan yet. So I gotta make sure that they know my car loan needs to be, or my title needs to be sent here so I can go and get it transferred. So yeah, still paying off some credit card stuff. Not as bad. I paid a lot of it down, a lot of it, but there's still a lot. I shouldn't say a lot, but there's still enough that I'm not happy about. But working on it, slow and steady. It's just been, as I said, like these last 2 months have been super busy and not a hell of a lot of reward at work. So, which while I'm on it, slight plug, because I know some people might come back and watch this. I'll probably do the same thing on Matt's chat as well. I threw something up on his Discord because he said it was cool. But for any truck drivers out there that watch this chat in the future or now, anyone's looking for a new job with a new company, truck driver, or knows someone that's a truck driver that's looking for a new job, they have to be an owner operator. Um, I just had a company that I got a contract with looking for at least 7 drivers right now, probably more in the future. They can be anywhere in the country. I can get you more details if you're interested. Just hit me up. I threw in the thingamajiggy description words. My email address and also on Discord that has my direct work email and phone number. So, or you can just hit me up on Discord. I just don't check Discord that often. So, small plug. Sorry, going with the rest of the chat. That's I mean, that's a good birthday. Checked all the boxes. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what she's doing right now, but I figured I know there are truck drivers that watch this, so if any of them are looking, always happy to have a conversation with them if they are looking. So, but yeah, I'm trying to think what else has happened in the past like month and a half I've been gone because I haven't really been completely gone. I mean, I've been on Matt's chats and stuff, but he runs them so late at night. Like usually I'm hopping off of there around 10 Eastern, and then 'cause I get up at like 3, 4 a.m. So just because I hop off at 10 doesn't mean I go to bed then. I'm usually like passing out around 11:30 midnight. So, um, but I'm trying to think. I believe she's still recovering. I don't know for sure. I'd have to imagine she's somewhat still recovering because that was a nasty accident that she took. Um, that is a rough, rough crash she took. So, uh, yeah, yeah, I'd have to imagine she's still recovering, which sucks too, because like I saw that and I was like, damn it, I was really thinking about getting a bike. I still am thinking about getting a bike, but I'm gonna wait. Like this time of year is not a great time of year to get one. I'm gonna wait till winter time because I also have to think about storage because I don't want to store it outside here at my apartment. Um, and where my parents are at, they rent a place that has a 3 bay garage in the back. Um, but they don't actually utilize any of the bays because they rent a half double. The guy on the other side uses those bays, so I'm gonna see if I can rent a bay off him because I'd rather store something there, and that way too, if I gotta do any tuning on it or something, I can do it. I can tune outside, but I don't want to tune in like the parking lot of my apartment complex and like no. Um, that's the thing. Like in wintertime, everyone sells cheap. Ohio Patriot. Good. Yeah, the rally was good. I actually was just chatting about it for the past 20 minutes or so, but it was good. It was a lot of what I expected, but I was surprised by a couple of things. It was definitely something I suggest anyone get a chance to go to. I mean, it was just cool being close to a president, whoever it be. Um, it was just neat being that close to them. Now, granted, I prefer this guy over the current guy, but yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of very electrifying. The only thing that sucked was waiting in line for like 4+ hours outside. That really sucked. So my parents are now conservatively 2 hours away. I can make it in an hour and a half depending on when I leave. So typically when I go up there, I'll leave here Saturday morning at like 7, 8 a.m. at the latest, and I can usually get up there by like if I leave at 7, I can usually get up there by about 8:30, maybe 9 if I stop and like refuel, like top off my fuel or grab a drink on the way or something like an energy drink. Um, exactly, it's a lot better than days away. And I've been having some conversations with some of my friends and stuff because one of my good friends that currently still lives down here, him and his family, they live about 40 minutes away from me here, westward, but they're looking to move back up north where we're all from. And so I'm heavily contesting or contemplating, I should say, when my lease is up here in, I think, end of January, moving up there, getting a place. Because I can get a place up there for cheaper. And yeah, I'm closer to my parents, which is a good and bad thing. I think by now the amount of time I've gone up there, I've realized that they're not banging on my door every weekend, stuff like that. Like they're not harassing me too much. Um, so and plus too, like most of my friends are gonna be up there. The girl I'm talking to is up there. It just makes sense. So um, are they still in good health? So my mom's in relatively good health. My dad, not so much, but he hasn't been in good health for years. He's just too stubborn to admit it. Um, like he comes from old farmer blood where it's like even if you have a wound, you just throw dirt on it and you keep moving until you physically can't anymore. Um, so that's just his mentality. So I mean, this he's had like 6 or 7 heart attacks. He's had multiple heart surgeries. He has diabetes. He has part of his foot amputated, like all this stuff. But he just keeps like he just doesn't know how to quit. Um, but he definitely does need more help now in his older years. So because he's uh, late 60s. So um, yeah, a major motivator for the move. Honestly, mix of being homesick and just wanting to be closer to friends and family. That's why I moved to Philly. I loved Arizona. I loved the weather. I loved, you know, like the stuff to do out there. It was great, but it sucked. Like the holidays were so goddamn depressing because like I rarely traveled for them, especially the last 2 years. They just sucked. Um, so it was just rough. Like they were always depressing. And even though I had a good circle out there, like I had Heavy and stuff that I lived out there, and he had his family that his brother and stuff that we'd go to their house for like Thanksgiving, but it's not the same as spending it with your own family and friends. And then you have friends out here that every time they're getting married or having kids, they want you to be part of. And just for me to fly back and forth, I was doing it 4 or 5 times a year, flying back and forth from Phoenix to Philadelphia and Scranton and stuff. Each one of those weekend trips was cost me over $1,000. And it's like, okay, I can come out, I lose a day of work because I fly out on a red eye, land Friday. You miss all day Friday traveling, stuff like that, from landing, traveling up there, getting situated, meeting people. You hang out Saturday and then you fly back Sunday. Then you spend all day Sunday traveling back down to Philly, getting on the plane, flying home. And then you have Monday as a recuperation day or to catch up. So it's like, okay, you're missing 2 days of work. You're run the entire time. It's costing you, you know, 1,000, 1,500, $2,000 every time. It's just like fuck that. Where now I can, yeah, I'm run, but it's like okay, I wake up Saturday morning, shoot up north, do my stuff all day there. Usually come back home early Sunday morning, get home like 4 a.m. or something like that. And like, yeah, I'm exhausted, but then I can sleep in Sunday and still have time to go do shopping and everything else, laundry, whatever I got to do, cleaning, and then I can start my work day again on Monday. Yeah, yeah, it's going to be definitely droughty. Although what I heard was this year Arizona got a lot of rain, so I'm actually happy that again on top of it, like of all the summers to move, I picked this one because granted I sweat more here in like a 2 month time frame than I did the whole 5 years out in Arizona. But when I was out in Arizona, the most we'd ever get for like our monsoon season was maybe like a week or two of rain. And it wasn't even rain every day. It was like, oh, you might get a small shower here or there, something like that. But apparently this last summer, like they were getting downpours all day for like days on end, um, which is good from a rebuilding the water table aspect, but it just made it super humid because it was still like 110 degrees out and 80 90% humidity. Like that's just miserable. But here it was only like 90 degrees out with 90% humidity, and it's the most miserable I've been in 5 years, but I wasn't that miserable. So, but but yeah, I guess Matt and Duke and Honda and them aren't showing up, but that's fine. That's fine. I can hold this over their head. They don't come to my chats. I'm joking. Um, oh, I believe it. It's the last. So right before I left, I shouldn't say right because I left in the winter time, but the summer going into me leaving was the first time that I've ever been bitten by a mosquito in Arizona. So I was out there at that point, but for just over 4 years. It was the first time in 4 years I'd been bitten by a mosquito. Funny, I mean, I got bit some here this year, but not too bad. Like I didn't get eaten up as much as I thought I was going to. Exactly. Fuck you, you guys. You didn't show up to my show. I sent them links too. Now, granted, I only sent them links. I didn't like send them text messages, call them, um, send them emails, or whatever else other form of community. I figured Discord was enough because I sent that this morning. I figured maybe they check Discord in, I don't know, a 12-hour window. Apparently not, but whatever. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I can't imagine 200. Fuck that. Nah, I'm good. Guys bitching here because I mean, I'm not used to having real grass again. So like the grass here, because I have to take my dog out now every day. I don't just have like a back door I can open up and let her run into a yard with fake grass. So I was taking her out, obviously a couple times a day, out to the yards and stuff they have here. And like I mean, they're pretty good. Like they'd probably mow it once a week, but it was just like they'd mow it on like Monday, and by like Friday it'd be up again. And we're out there in shorts, so like my legs got eaten up some, but not as bad as I thought they were going to. So I can't bitch and complain too much about it, but I'm definitely looking forward to fall. Not winter. Fuck winter. I don't want to be cold, but I am looking forward to fall. Yeah, she's good. I don't know where the fuck she is. She's I think she's sleeping on the couch right now. I don't know if you can probably can't tell. She's like back over there. So she like blends because there's a black blanket on the couch, and she likes to like cuddle up right next to it. Half the time I'll go to lay down, I don't even see her because she just blends in. She's not smart enough to move out of her own way. Um, it's a big apartment complex. That's the only thing that sucks about here. Like Arizona, I was a ground level condo. Each condo was its own separate building. So it was like you walked into your own little house essentially with its own walled in backyard. So that was nice. Where here it's an actual complex. I mean, it's not bad. Like none of my neighbors, knock on wood, have been bad. Like I don't have to deal with like loud parties or screaming kids running up and down hallways or like people yelling at each other and fighting. So like that stuff I don't have to deal with, which is really nice. Um, but it does suck from the standpoint of like if I want to take the dog out, I have to go down 3 flights of stairs, well, 2 flights of stairs because I'm on the third floor. I'm on the top floor. Um, and same thing with moving. Like when it comes time to move, I'm just hiring movers. I'm not doing this by myself again. Like some of the stuff I'll do, obviously, like the smaller stuff that I can just load up in the car and take, you know, up several weekends in a row type stuff. Like, yeah, sure, that stuff I'll load up, but like the big stuff, like my desk and like the couches and the TV, man, fuck that. Movers can move it. I'm not doing it again. It almost killed me to do it the first time, so I'll just hire some people to move this time around, and we'll take it from there. So yeah, it's insane. Like there have been times that she has disappeared and in like a small little like she loves so back there in like the corner of the room is there's an end table and I have a little dog bed under there that I just kind of threw because I had no place else to throw it. It's her favorite spot in the house. But when it's all dark in here, like there's been times I've come in, I'm like calling her name and she doesn't want to come, and I'm like running around like looking for her, and I'm like, did she get out somehow? Do I not know where she is? Did I leave her on the patio? Like what the hell happened? And then like I check and I'll be running around with a flashlight, and then all of a sudden, oh, there she is. So yeah, send it my way. I mean, we're supposed to. It's I finally turned off my AC today, and just opened up the windows because I'm like, it's cool enough out. Like it's mid 70s. It's supposed to drop into the 60s at night. I'm like, that's perfect. Um, I'm good with that. So, yeah, and then I think later on in the week it's supposed to creep back up into like the low 80s. So I might fire it back up again. I might not. We'll see. It's nice having it off because when I have it off, my electric bill every month is like 29 bucks or like 27 bucks or something like that. When I have it on, it's like 90 bucks. Yeah, I don't even need someone to pack it. I just need someone to move it because it's like I have a couple totes of food and stuff, and like each one of those totes of food is probably 300 pounds. And I mean, I can lift 300 pounds, but it's big, bulky, like you're lifting at a goofy angle and trying to angle it upstairs. And so like I almost killed myself when I moved in here. And finally, because I wanted to move in all in one day, and I ended up having to take 2 days. So the second day, I ended up hiring two guys for like an hour, and it was expensive. It was like $200 for the hour, but I didn't even care because I was like, I need someone to help me move my couch because I have this large sectional couch, and I was like, there's no way I can do it myself. Like, it's just angling it up and stuff. One person isn't gonna happen without like breaking stuff. So hired them. It's just $200 I spent because I was like, I don't have to worry about this crap. And then they helped move some of the heavier boxes and stuff. That was just like I was so exhausted and couldn't move them. Especially after spending 3 days moving cross country, like I was just exhausted. I didn't have a bed to sleep on, so I was just like sleeping on an air mattress. I was just exhausted. Yeah, I can believe 700 plus being where you're at. Yeah, it's when I was in Arizona, I mean, and we kept the house in Arizona at like 80, and that was a brand new building, so it was very like energy efficient, or at least it was supposed to be. But we were spending probably close between the two of us, I'd say like $300 a month, something like that, or close to it. I mean, the girl I'm seeing could help me move stuff, but she's also not going to help me. I mean, I wouldn't ask her to help me move like a big ass couch and like 300-pound totes of food and stuff. Um, nah, I'll pay some dude to, or a couple of dudes to help me over. Unless one of my other, good groups of friends wants to come down and help me. But then I'm also spending money on them driving down, 2 hours, loading stuff up, driving it back up. Like, if I can just get a moving truck, pay a couple guys like $200 to move the big shit out, um, and then just once I get up there, then have my buddies come help me unload stuff. That's a lot easier. Well, I mean, I didn't get to technically Daniel meet the Don. Um, like I was at his rally. We got in there pretty late just because of how long the line was. So we were way up, but we weren't all the way in the back. So we were up. I could look down and see him like at this angle. I have pictures actually. I don't have them on my laptop, so I can't share them. But maybe for like Matt's chat, I can send them because I sent some in the group chat. Um, and like a video and stuff like that of him walking out and everything. So it was like 2 minutes long. I cut at the 2 minute part because I was like, this is dragging on. um, so, but there's one of the nice things I like about here is this apartment. Like I'm paying $1,000 a month for my little apartment, and it doesn't have like a dishwasher. There's no laundry in the unit. I have to go down to the basement and pay for laundry, which isn't that bad. It's like $4 a week, sometimes six if the dryer doesn't dry everything the first round. Um, but I don't have to pay for heat um, or water. I just have to pay electric and internet cable. Um, so, I mean, you could have seen me in the. It's possible, depending on where it was angled up at. Because again, like I was like, he's sitting this way looking at the cameras. I would have been like here. Like I wasn't at the very top, but I was pretty like where that second barrier hit. Like I was towards the top of those steps before like it started like that third ring. So, um, but yeah, and we were smart. We picked like when we walked in, we sat like right next to the stairs. Like my feet were literally like on the stairs. It's where the stairs ended was my chair. So I was like, I have plenty of leg room. And then, when it was time to go, it was just like, okay, up and down the stairs, out of there, so we could get out of that parking lot because otherwise people were stuck there for hours. Excuse me. Hey, long time no. Yeah, exit 343. I know I'm back. Yeah, six. I'm happy with six viewers, man. Yeah, I hear you said some stuff about us. I'm not even a MAGA. That's the thing too. Like I get lumped into that as like, oh, you're a MAGA Republican. It's like, no, not really. I just it sucks because like if you don't tote the Joe Biden line, you're a MAGA Republican. Apparently, I don't know. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go to this thing because I'm not even a MAGA. I'm just. I really wanted to just watch the spectacle, and it really is a spectacle. Like just the people running around with flags and cheering and chanting, and people are sharing stuff. There's guys selling pretzels. Like it was crazy. It was a show. Like the best way to put it is like if you went to some sort of a convention almost is the best way to put it. It was like like a Comic Con, but obviously not on the same scale. But like I was saying earlier in the chat, like so there was governors and senators and stuff that spoke before Trump that were all endorsed by Trump, and then there was like an hour and a half, a little bit more than an hour and a half break in between. And so on the floors where all the VIP people were, because you could like if you donate so much, you could get a VIP ticket. There's a lot of older people, but they're all down there like dancing around because they're playing all the music over the loudspeakers, and they're dancing around and they're doing conga line, like all sorts of goofy shit. And I so raw feeding. I do have how's this thing go? Exit 343. East side of the continent's treating me pretty well so far. I cannot complain. Yeah, raw feeding. I actually have a lot of lefty friends. That are not. I don't really argue gun stuff with them because they know who I am and they don't bring it up around me. And when they do, it's very rare. It's more like we'll all be out at a party or something like that, and someone will bring up politics, and there'll be like 10 or 15 of them, and then there's me, and they'll all go off about like, oh, so and so, if it wasn't for guns, this stuff wouldn't happen. Blah 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 blah. It's usually the person spewing that stuff as one of their friends that doesn't really know me, and I just sit there and don't say anything. And then when people do ask me my opinion, I just go, "You guys already know my opinion." And none of them have really ever started an argument with me. If anything, it's kind of funny. Like there have been times when we've been down here in Philly and stuff like that, and we've been out and about, and we're going down a dark alley, and they're like, "Oh, there's some shit. Oh, Dan, are you prepared?" And it's like, "Oh, now you care. Okay, now you want me to have a gun. Okay, gotcha." Um, so yeah, it's yeah. If you're on the other gun channel, turn on the names of the channel. The other gun channel. Yeah, like I don't really run it. Actually, I mean, from the anti-gun standpoint, the stuff I run into more often is my sister and my mother, because my mother is very left-leaning. Now, granted, as we've gotten older, she's just accepted me for who I am, and it's just like I don't understand him, but whatever. So she usually doesn't pull up politics around me. My dad is very right-leaning, so he'll usually say stuff to piss my mother off, and then they usually go off on a spat, and I stand aside. My sister is very lefty. I haven't seen her in a couple years, so maybe she's chilled off some, but I doubt it. So she'll bring up stuff now and then, and I usually just stay quiet because I know their mindset. It's very much the mindset of they don't understand it until something happens to them. Um, so it's like I remember, shit. I think it was like right around when the Rittenhouse trial came out. My mother had like sent me a message like, "Why does my son need to carry a gun?" And I just explained to her flat out the reasoning why. I was like, "I don't expect you to understand this because nothing bad has really ever happened to you. Like you've never run into the situation where you feel you need one, and even then, mentally, you can't understand the concept of having to defend yourself. Like you're just not that person. Um, so I don't expect you to understand it, but me, I'm different. So, um, yeah, yeah. So so like my family, like I mean, I speak to all the members of my family, even my dad. Like he's he's come around because when I first got into firearms, like I mean, granted, I've been in firearms since I was a child. Like my father raised me with firearms, but my dad growing up, like I grew up, I was born late '80s, so I grew up pretty much during the assault weapons ban. And I remember like my dad going to a gun show and buying me like an old like Wasser 10, like that was a pre-ban and stuff like that. I remember him buying me one. But we were never like those types. Like my dad never had a ton of ARs, like AKs and Mini 14s. Like my dad always had like a Mini 14, like one, but he had like a lot of hunting rifles and shotguns and Winchester. Like my dad was always into like the older cowboy and hunting guns and stuff like that. And even when we got older, like his mentality was like, oh, AR-15, those are for like the preppers and the crazy people, and like you just need a hunting rifle and a shotgun, like a couple handguns, and you're good to go. And it's like, okay, whatever. And like as time's gone on, he's been like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like it's not anything that he's into. Like he's not into ARs and stuff like that. Now granted, if I pulled out like an AR-10 that was all kitted out for hunting or something, he'd probably be cool, like more interested in it. But your standard ARs and stuff, he's like, he knows how to use them, but he doesn't care about it, like they're whatever. He much more prefers like Mini 14s because that's the 18 gun and it's cool and it's wood and it looks aesthetically they look cool. Um, Stuff like that. So, but JFK Dems, they got people that still vote down. Oh, 100%. Yeah. The Democrats of back then are not the same as now. Um, yeah, and my sister's one of those, like she'll just repeat CNN BS and stuff like that, and you know, it's, and I love my sister. Don't get me wrong. Ahoy, Tara. I mean, I love my sister. She's family, but yeah, she spews her stuff. But I also realize that she comes from a point of not having experience. So I should go to a Joe rally next and compare the enthusiasm. I'd go to a Joe Biden rally honestly because I want to see the difference. I mean, granted, I know the difference because I've seen videos from both, but when it comes to crowd size, but I'd go to a Joe Biden rally just to see like what's actually happening. It sucks because he's been up to because he's from Scranton. Like he's been up there a couple times. I've just never been there to see it. So like if he comes around and I'm available, I'd go to a Joe Biden just to again just to experience it and see how miserable people are. Now, granted, I'd probably get yelled at because I show up being just me. Like I'm not gonna wear like a Trump shirt or something, but the fact that I'm not wearing I don't know a yay Joe Biden or I don't know whatever like maps are cool shirt or something, I'd probably get yelled at. But whatever. Kid still has rifles on their trucks when I was in high school. Graduated 2006. Yeah, so perfect example. We're off fading. I didn't really graduate from like a country area, but being Northeast PA, like the first day of hunting season, most of the school is gone. Like everyone's out of school. And you didn't really see a lot of rifle racks in the trucks, but you knew damn well that especially during hunting season, like half the vehicles in the parking lot had rifles or shotguns in them, or muzzle loaders or something, and no one batted an eye. And like we lived in a suburb area where there's definitely the suburban kids that live locally in town, but right outside of town was the country area, and those kids came to town as well. And like you knew all of them were definitely going to be gone during hunting season. A lot of the suburban kids too, because they grew up like their grandfathers were hunters or their fathers were hunters or whatever. So yeah, Dwight was his manager. Uh, yeah, gotta wear a hammer and sickle if you want to blend in. No shit. Red Nugent T-shirt. Yeah, it's I wonder if I wore like the was it like the AK shirts that say like 762 or whatever, it has like the communist writing and everything, like the Russian writing. I wonder if that would fit in, like if they were like, "Oh, what's that?" It's like, "Oh, it's communist stuff." um, but yeah, it's interesting. My aunts are JFK Dems and still believe that the party line so many are older baby boomers and silent generation that match. Military and brought into the anti-Trump yes. Sorry, Ted Nugent. Yeah, and I think a lot of people just they're so anti-Trump that it's like, and again, so many people are blind. They only see two options. It's like, no, I'm right in the middle. Like I shouldn't say I'm right in the middle, but I'm pretty close to middle on a lot of stuff. Um, And I think that's probably why I do get along in some of my circles, because there's people that I have both left and right that they smoke weed or something. They're like, and they look at me knowing that I went to like a Trump rally, and they're like, "Oh, you disapprove." I'm like, "No, it's not my thing. I don't do it, but I don't care if you do it. Just do it responsibly. Don't hurt people. That's all I give two shits about." Um, We the People T-shirt, making a bunch of guns in the shape of an AR-15. Oh, I bet. I used to wear. I mean, I think I still have them. Maybe I may have lost them when I moved out here. But I used to have a bunch of the old Gun Channels T-shirts. So I had the old G Webs T-shirts. I had like a Never Enough Ammo Matt T-shirt. I had a Yankee Marshall Gun Kitty T-shirt, and like I'd get some weird looks with some of those, depending on where I went. Um, like I remember I had an Every Second Matters T-shirt the one time I flew out to Arizona before I moved out there just to like look at apartments, see if it's someplace I wanted to move. I remember some guy came up to me in the airport. He was like, "That's a great shirt, man," and he's chatting it up with me and everything. He was like, "Yeah, Second Amendment, woo!" I was like, "Oh, this place is cool," because I didn't get that in most of the areas I went in Pennsylvania. Um, but yeah, I try not to wear as much of that stuff anymore. Mainly because well, one, it doesn't fit me, and two, I just don't like to make myself as much of a target as possible. But it, yeah, it's funny. So speaking of the Trump rally, so we parked there. We walked across the street because across the street there's a Walmart, and then there's in that Walmart parking lot there's another shopping center, like a shopping mall, with like a couple restaurants and stuff. And so we went to one of the breweries down there, and we grabbed some food and a drink or two before we went back over and stood in line. And we're walking across, and like so the arena's here, shopping centers here. We're just walking down the sidewalk here. Like it's a sidewalk. We could have been going anywhere. We could have been going to the arena. We could have been going to the mall. We could have been going to another group of restaurants down. We could have been going any place. And of course, like the road's all blocked off or whatever, and we're walking this way. None of us are wearing Trump shirts. Like we're all wearing just random ass shirts. Like the girl I'm with, she's wearing like a white T-shirt, just like a white T-shirt. I'm wearing a shirt that just says "Work hard, stay humble." Like maybe because it says work hard and it tells people to do work. I don't know. Maybe that's what gave it away. Another kid is just wearing a shirt with like a skull on it, like a Grim Reaper-ish looking thingamajiggy. And then the other kid is just wearing like a black T-shirt. It was a Nine Line Apparel shirt, but it was just like black with a little helicopter in the like. You'd have to have laser eyes to see what the hell was on the shirt, right? And we're driving like there's people driving by. Fuck you, Trump supporters! Go burn in hell! Fuck you! And I'm like, how do they know? Like, first off, none of us here. Well, that's not true. Two of the people there were Trump supporters. Three of the people there were Trump supporters. But like, there's no telltale signs. Like, we're just walking down the street. Like, you're just making assumptions now, which makes you look like an asshole. Um, but at a Walmart worker be like, "Fuck yeah, man." I've had some people in places that you wouldn't expect. So like, perfect example, where I live now is technically considered the hood. Now, I I say that lightly because there's some really nice areas. Like if you go this way down the street, there's really nice houses. Like it's more suburban. Like yeah, there's definitely more rural areas, but there's also some nice suburban type areas and like nice shopping centers and stuff like that and businesses and whatnot. If you go this way towards Walmart, like as soon as you cross the hallway, yeah, that gets hood because that's over by the prison and that's pretty hood. Um, but you see people all over the place of all different mixes, right? Like of both sides of the tracks, if you will. And like the gas stations right over here, I knew this is when. Let's see if this gets me kicked off YouTube. Probably not the most popular president ever is when you go to those gas stations and you see the guy that's like gets out of the Escalade with big ass like 24s on it, and like he's dressed on like blue track suit with a do rag on, and he's putting a "I did that" like the "I did that" sticker on the gas pump. Like that's kind of the sign at that point. So um yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting for sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess anything can be a cult. Like I don't consider all Dems a cult. I still believe that a large majority of the Dems out there, or the people that vote them, are people that A, never had anything bad happen to them, like truly bad happen to them. And B, they're just ignorant and blind. Like they just couldn't be bothered. Like a lot of my friends that I have conversations with, I don't push it on them because I'm like, you're my friend. We agree on a lot of other stuff, like enough stuff in the middle that I don't need to push you in any specific way. Like that's not my job, and I don't want to ruin our friendship by me saying you got to do this. Because I don't want people to tell me what to do, so I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Now if I find you're doing stupid stuff, and that's different, but it's they just it's like they couldn't be bothered. They're just like, yep, I watched my 10 minutes on CNN because that's what I've always done, and this is what I heard, and so it must be right because I can't like my brain can't wrap itself around that maybe I'm being lied to by the government and the media because then I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know who to trust, and so I think it's some of that like mental game where they just rather stay ignorant because it's easier for them and it's less they can live in less fear. Um, if that makes any sort of sense. So, but yeah, they call gun people. Yeah, it's stupid. So, but yeah, it was definitely an interesting round. I'm sure I'll talk some more about it. I'm gonna try to. I shouldn't say try to dig up some more. I'm gonna work on sending some pictures over, so hopefully we can be able to share. Uh, you know, maybe on tomorrow's chat with Matt or something like that, because I'm sure he'll ask about it, so I can share like the video and the pictures and stuff like that. I tried to get some good ones. It was just tough because there's so many false like entrances. So for example, like they were playing songs back to back to back, and then they started like pausing between songs, and they'd play a song. It's like, nah, Trump wouldn't walk out to this. And then at one point they played the Undertaker song from WWE, and I was like, oh, this would be badass if he walked out to this. So, like everyone stand up, like waiting to get a pay, and he didn't walk out to that. We're like, oh, son of a bitch. And then they played like YMCA, which has been something he's walked out to before, but he didn't walk out. And then they played. I think he finally came out to. I want to say it was Real American. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of people that still live in the "it can't happen to me" mentality, and I think a lot of that's just it's one of those things like some people just live in that mindset because it can't happen to them until it does happen to them, or they've just lived in safety their whole entire life and they've never had to worry about not being safe, like truly not being safe. Um, so I don't know. I think of one of my friends who, and she's admitted to me straight up because she knows the type of person she is. She's like, even if someone broke in their house and had a knife and said, "I'm gonna kill you" or "I'm gonna rape you," she's like, even if I had a gun, I couldn't do anything because I can't contemplate the concept of hurting somebody else. Like she just can't wrap her head around it. And I'm like, you might feel differently in that situation, but you can't really do that until you're in that situation. So, um, Daniel, no, not really. No, not not for any specific reason. I just don't. Um, it's normalcy bias. Yeah, yeah. And I thing is, like a lot of the people out there still just they live in situations where they haven't had to struggle yet. They've been very blessed, which is awesome for them. I hope they stay that way, that they never have to understand hardship or be threatened by where they're at or anything like that. And I hope they never have to go through that. But chances are, the way the world's going, who knows? So, but tasty water with lemonade mix. But yeah, can't think of anything else. Trying to think what else has gone on. Honestly, I've just been last couple of weeks just working my ass off and doing lots of events. I've been traveling to a lot of county fairs and cons. I did a concert a couple months back. car show a couple weeks back. Should say concert a couple weeks back. Yeah, yeah. My sister's very much the same way. Like she would probably just lay down and her body, like her body would probably shut down. She'd just curl into a ball and whimper. Like she wouldn't know what else to do. That's just how she is. Which is weird because as a kid she used to fight me all the time. But like I think she used to fight me all the time because she knew she couldn't actually get into trouble because my mother would come to her aid and yell at me because I was the older kid. So she would pick fights with me, knowing that I would get into trouble if I tried to defend myself. So, uh, fun. But yeah, it's just a mentality I don't understand, but some people are that way, and it's. But then also there's cases where people say they're that way and they realize that they're not when like something that they love is threatened or something like that. So, who knows? Juul is going to pay 440 million over teen vaping. Is it like a class action or who are they paying that to? See, I I wonder if they're choosing to do that or if they're getting like sued to do that because it's a weird situation. Because I know a lot of kids that do vape and they shouldn't, but at the same time, there's a lot of kids back in the day that used to smoke cigarettes that shouldn't. There's a lot of kids that dip. I dipped back in the day when I shouldn't have. Like, why are we telling a company, "Oh, bad, you have to pay out"? Like, they already put the stuff on the label, like you gotta be 18 to buy this. The people at the convenience stores are supposed to check IDs. Like, it's not their fault for the people at the convenience stores not checking IDs or getting false IDs or something. That's not their fault. To settle a multi-state investigation into its vaping products. So fucking stupid. That's my feeling on that. And granted, I haven't done enough research, but just from a precursory level, because I know friends back in the day who used to be into making their own vape juice and stuff like. That's just big tobacco coming down on vaping because they got pissed off because so many people ditched cigarettes and ditched dipping and they went to vaping. So big tobacco lost money, but then big tobacco bought a lot of vape companies too. Um, but they know like here in Pennsylvania, because when my buddy was doing it, he was making his own vape juice and he'd make his own like he'd get the parts together, make his own vapes and stuff. And like it was a big business for a lot of different people. Like there was full on businesses that were started making their own vape juice and then PA cracked down hard and was like, nope, unless you're a major company or whatever, like you can't do it. Like we're not gonna sell you the stuff to make your own. They all mad that Honda quit smoking. Yeah, well, Matt took up that mantle, so it balances out. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Thanos, 2018, maybe. But yeah, that's some bullshit. In my book, I don't know. I mean, sure, I know there's stuff that's in vapes that isn't good for you, but there's shit in cigarettes that isn't good for you. There's shit in cigars that isn't good for like most stuff you probably smoke isn't gonna be good for you. um, but yeah, that's and when you really think about it, I mean, 440 million. I mean, I don't know how many teenagers are out there, but that doesn't seem like a lot. Like it's a lot for one company to pay out, yes, but I mean, there's what 350 million, 350 million Americans in the country, something like that. I mean, even if half of those were, even if I don't know, even if 110, let's say 110 teenagers out there in the country, which I feel could easily be $4 a teenager. I'm sorry, 110 million teenagers. Math. Yeah. So a perfect example. Like, so, and I agree with you. My dog is like my kid. I don't plan to have kids. My dog will be at. Um, I have several friends that they quit smoking because of vaping. And it was just that thing of like they started off with a higher nick level and they just weaned themselves off the nick until they were at zero. And like they still vape, but it's more just like they're just used to it. Like they were the type of people that after dinner they'd have a cigarette. And now they just vape instead because it's that lack of a better term, oral fixation. They're just used to having something to smoke. So they're able to do that. They don't have the nicotine. They don't have nearly as much of the harmful crap in them. I know there's like that stuff going on, like, oh, it's putting metal into your lungs and all that stuff. It's like, it's probably better than like the tar and rat poison or whatever that you were putting into your lungs. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but if I had to guess, so, but I mean, when I quit smoking, I just quit cold turkey, but that's because um, I didn't smoke that heavy to begin with. Like, I was just smoking to have something to do at school. And then also when I go out to bars and stuff like that, I'd occasionally still bum a cigarette or whatever. Um, but I just quit because they're so expensive. Like, God, my mother still smokes, and I had to go buy her 2 packs of cigarettes when I was up there this past weekend. 'Cause she had a cold, so she couldn't get out of the house. So I asked her if she wanted smokes and a coffee. So I was like, all right. It was like $20 for 2 packs of Marlboros. I was like, what the fuck? This is insane. This is not like I quit. I think they were like $5 a pack back in the day when I quit. Like shit. Um, gun people need to have kids. Only way gun culture can grow. Yeah, I mean, my mentality is I teach my friends' kids. I just don't. I have a multitude of reasons I don't want kids. I haven't seen those studies. I mean, I will occasionally have a cigar. I actually just had this conversation this past weekend with one of my friends who he's vaped for a long time. He's never had a cigar. Well, he's had cigars, but he's not like a cigar connoisseur, and I'm not a connoisseur either. Like I enjoy them. I know a little bit about them. Um, But I told him I was like, yeah, I gotta stop. Which I meant to do this last shit. I meant to do this last weekend. I meant to stop by the cigar shop up there that I like, but I gotta refill my humidor. But I'll have an occasional cigar. Usually when I have a cigar, I'm either like out with a bunch of the guys or something like that, or I'm just hanging on my patio with a drink. I will say this: like when I smoke a cigar and drink, I get fucked up real quick. Also, really to choose who gets your Glock 40 after you keel over. I don't have a Glock 40 anymore, so I don't have to worry about that. Having kids, I'm good. Well, like a crotch goblins. I feel like I've heard that term. Um, yeah, and I don't have anything against. Like I love my friends' kids, but I'm so glad when I get to give them back. Perfect example. Last weekend, I went up Saturday to do an event up with the girl and some of my friends. And then Sunday, my buddy that lives west of me, he had his 3-year-old's birthday party, and I got invited because I'm home again, and I haven't really hung out with him much since I moved back. So I was like, yeah, I'll swing by, like bring the kid a present, all that good stuff. And my buddy goes hard, like he makes really good money. Him and his wife both, so they went crazy at this party. And he had all his friends come over, and most of his friends all have kids of their own, all between baby and like 5. And so I'm at this party, and there's fucking rugrats all over the place running around. And don't get me wrong, love my buddy's kids, love hanging out with them, love playing with them and showing them how to use Nerf guns and like building the drum set for them so they can drive their parents crazy. But at the end of the night, I'm so happy to just give them back. Like after 6.5 hours there, I was like, yep, that whole concept of why I don't want kids right here. Because I don't want to have to deal with that. Like the like kids running around, they're puking and then just running around more, like crapping their pants and stuff, and the fact that like you have to watch them all. Like I don't want that responsibility. I like hanging out with them for a little bit and then being able to go here, go bother your parents. Plus too, like it's a different age growing up now than it is when I grew up. Like when I grew up, I started to experience like the social media stuff and the stuff that they're pushing in schools. Like I started to get that when I was coming up, and it's ramped up so much more now that I'm out and like older. I wouldn't want my kids having to go through that. And I know there's ways around it. Um, but I don't want to have to deal with that too. Kids are so goddamn expensive now. They're I mean, granted, I'm sure they were expensive back in the day, but they're so expensive now. And there's just other stuff I want to do that I'm like, I don't really need. Like my sister has a kid, the bloodline's preserved, even though she's married to somebody. I'm like, that's fine for me. Um, I can't remember his day she would smoke a cig in less than. So Ohio. So like my grandmother back in the day, she would smoke close to a cart up until the day she died. She smoked almost a carton a day. And it was like it was one after the other. Like there was never a moment I think she didn't have a cigarette in her mouth. And she was losing her mind bad towards the end. I remember one time my mother and I went over to check on her, and it was at their house that was just a couple streets over from ours. And we walk into the house, and all you can smell is gas because she had turned the stove on but didn't hit the lighter. And so the whole house was filled with gas. And here she comes out of the bedroom smoking a cigarette. We're like, no! Like my mom runs up, like spikes the cigarette out of her mouth. And she's like, Mom, you're staying outside. And so like she didn't know where she was half the time and stuff. So like we had all the doors open, the windows open, all that stuff, trying to air out the house, shut the stove off. Like she almost blew up the house with her smoking. Um, yeah, I'm the same way, raw feeding. Like I just don't want my life changed. Like I want it's hard enough with the dog when, I want to go travel someplace. Like I can't do that with a kid. I know that's selfish, but it's like if I want to go do something, like I want to go hang out with my friends, I can't bring the kid. Like I have a kid now. I have a responsibility. I don't want that. Like and I know like Hondo pushed us said, "Oh, you don't know what love is until you have a kid." It's like, "Oh, I know what love is when I have my dog. I'm content with that amount of love. I know what love is when I have a girlfriend or a fiance or whatever. I'm content with that amount. I don't need a kid. Like I love my friends' kids. I haven't met my nephew yet. I'm hoping to finally meet my nephew this Christmas. I know I'm gonna love him. That's all I need. That's just kind of where I'm at. Yeah, after like the cleanup and the fact that like my buddy was telling me, he's like, dude, with kids, he's having his third. He's like, there is smells and messes that like you didn't know how messy you could be until you have a kid, and it just doesn't stop for years. I'm like, yeah. And then I have a friend that I was dating out in Arizona for a little bit, and she had a kid, and she was telling me like her first year she calculated it was like over 80 grand for a kid for the first year in cost. I was like, nope, I can find a better use for 80 grand in 1 year. Never mind multiple years, college funds, all that stuff. And the best part is, I can be that cool uncle that spoils kids and like buys them their 22 or gets them built a go kart, and then doesn't have to really fucking deal with it. Like I don't have to deal with the consequences. I can just be like, hey, here's this fun thing that I can show you and like teach you how to use responsibly, but have a lot of fun with and not get yelled at. And like I don't have to worry about you hurting yourself, but at the same time, like you can push it a little bit more with me than you can with maybe your mom or your dad, and I can give you back. And yeah, I can have all the fun aspects. I don't have to have as much of the disciplinary and the sad moments and stuff like that. So like else it wouldn't be alive. Sure, there's a pain. There is pain, but we only develop this mortality. So it means I'm confused by what you mean, guy that comments. 5K will teach you good insurance. Our last one cost us about 80. Yeah, about 80K. Yeah. So stuff wire and dire down there. Let's take some pride. We are the best Earth has to offer. I mean, I'm just here for my time, and I'm gonna do the best I can during my time. I've got a full time uncle. Being parents sucks. I don't blame you. I just again like I worry about raising a kid in this day and age. If something happens to them, how I'm gonna react as a father. I mean, granted, I'm gonna react as an uncle too. Like, I mean, if something was to happen to my buddy's kid, like something horrible was to happen, like I'm gonna react. But I also know he's gonna react first. Like, and it's gonna be much more on him than it is going to be on me. Um, So it's one of those things. And I'm not beyond the point of saying like if I end up, you know, if the stars align or whatever like that, and somehow or another a kid comes to be, like I'm not gonna. I don't have plans to like abort it or anything like that. Like if it has one, obviously I'm gonna raise it best to my ability, all that stuff. I'm just not actively looking to have a kid. And like right now, financially, stuff else I want to do in my life and everything like that. The last thing I want right now is a kid. That would be a step back in my book right now. Now, granted, if I have one, I'm gonna dedicate everything I have to that kid, and I'm willing to sacrifice those other things for it. But if I don't have to make those sacrifices, I'm not going to. So if that makes sense. So it's kind of like making good financial decisions. Best way to put it. Yeah, that's what they say, and maybe that's right, but I know how I am now, and I don't need to test that theory. There's no part of me that wants to test that theory. People can say all they want, like, oh, once you have kids, you never knew the love you had without, and you're probably right, but I'm content now. So, been together for 13. We always use protection. And she's, yeah, it's like being super Superman for 6 years. Yeah, well, according to my buddy, mom right now is Superwoman, I guess. Um, and he's like, yeah, the kids fucking hate me. I was like, yeah, give it until they're preteens or whatever. I was like, then they'll start to warm up to you. Right now they're mama's boys. Um, his third kid, they don't know what they're gonna have yet. Chances are probably a boy, but maybe a girl. I said, maybe if it's a girl, it'll be a daddy's girl growing up. Excuse me, who knows? But right now the boys are mama's boys, and so he's like, talking. They don't listen to me. They don't do what I say. Like they can't stand me. They always want to be with mom. And I'm like, yeah, that's because they're young. Like they're the oldest one's 3, the other one's not even. I think he's 1. I think. So I'm like, give it a couple years, they'll flip. Uh, but you don't get screwed over on taxes. It's hard. Yeah, that's true. So stay strapped to get strapped with that. 18 to 25 years your sentence. Yeah. Well, I'm saying they'll warm up a little bit more to dad because at least, and if I look at it from now, granted, my perspective's a little different because like my mother passed away when I was very young, and then my dad remarried, and my stepmother never really. It wasn't until recent years. I say recent years. I'd say probably I was about 17, 18 that she started to really be okay with me. Um, but that being said, um, so it's a little bit different for me. But like all my friends that were guys, like they grew up in mama's boys. And granted, yeah, later in life, but like dad was still like the one that, yeah, he yells at you all the time, but like he also teaches you cool shit. And it depends on the friend, obviously, right? Like some of my friends had really cool dads, others not. But like that was always my mentality. It was like, oh yeah, dad, like, yeah, he yells at me and stuff, and like mom lets me get away with more stuff, but dad's the one that teaches me hunting and fishing and cars and guns and you know how to be manly shit. So like that's why kind of later on adoption is an option. Just get a 6 year old or a couple siblings from the system. That's probably what I'm going to do at some point down the line after you find a wife. It's an option. I mean, adoption's definitely out there, and it's two birds with one stone, I guess, because you get someone out of the adoption that needs a loving family and stuff like that, and they're older. You don't have to deal with the whole like poop in the diaper and not being able to understand what they say type stuff. Um, I guess that depends on who you adopt, also, but uh, it rough. I kind of feel that way rough eating because, and maybe it's just generational because like every time I tell my dad I'm talking to someone, first thing out of his mouth, I'm like, we're not even engaged. He's like, when you having kids? When you get married and having kids? It's like, Dad, you already have a grandson. You don't fucking need like. You already checked that box. You don't need one from me. So I don't know what the rush is. Not really on there. And then I get so much shit from people that are like, "Oh, you need to have kids." It's like, no. The more you tell me I need something, the less likely I am to do it. Um, and for example, the last girl I was talking to, like, she got her tubes tied and stuff because she's like, I never wanted kids. I don't want kids. I want to make sure that's not ever going to be an option. Um, so she and like, oh, her parents were pissed, but they've accepted it now. But that's another thing. There's so many more divorces nowadays, and maybe there were back in the day, but I don't remember hearing about them as much. Like, I have plenty of friends that whose parents are divorced, but I feel there's more and more kids these days that are divorced. The amount of friends I have that have kids that the parents aren't together is way more than friends I had back in the day whose parents weren't together. Um, so wash your hands. Yeah, yeah. We gotta breed this angry boy, like I'm a cattle. Um, yeah. So it's definitely a different world in that aspect when it comes to divorce rates and relationships, and maybe that's also the change in societies because, and again, like I got to look at it from just what I've experienced in my life. But I remember from earlier in my life, people I knew that were dating, and getting together, were like, and granted, there's only a small little time. I'm talking like a 5 year time gap. Those people tended to be more apt to date longer, not as much with the one night stands. Now, granted, there was outliers, um, but it just seemed to be more flow better. Where nowadays, it's just so many people I know have kids from one night stands or from, oh yeah, I dated this guy for 3 months, or oh yeah, I dated this chick for 6 months or a year, and we had a kid, and we realized we weren't going to be like, holy shit. So asked me multiple questions. I'm like, were you not willing to spend the $50 the next morning or the 75 cents that night? I mean, yeah, it sucks using a rubber, but better than having a kid. My book. I don't know. That's me. But sex ed with angry. Yay. Um, I have so kids, friends of mine that have kids that are still married. I can name, I think, three out of probably a dozen. Not great odds, and two of those have been married for 3 years or less. So we'll see what the long term runs. Now, granted, both of those relationships, well, I shouldn't say that. One of those relationships, they were dating for like 3 years before they got married, so they've been together for six. Leads me to think probably a good move. Actually, I'm sorry, four out of a dozen, because there's another, I forgot about one. The other one, they were dating for like 7 or 8 years, I want to say, before they got married, and then they had the kid the following year. Um, and then the other one, they were only, I swear to God, they were dating for like 9 months, maybe a year before they had a kid. Well, they weren't having, they got pregnant, and then like 3 months into the 3 or 4 months into their pregnancy, they got married, and now they have the kid. So, um, why I fallen for is kids make women happy. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I know a lot of women that want kids, but then and again, it's hard for me to say this as a guy, but I feel a lot of women that claim they want kids as like a social status type thing. Because I know plenty of women that were like, oh, I just saw Becky had a kid. I want a kid now. Because I want to be just like Becky and have a kid because I can show it all over. And this is what pisses me off too, people with kids. I know not every person's like this, but so many people I know, and I have friends like this, and I love my friends, but I have friends like this that their entire identity becomes their kids. So they have a kid, and all of a sudden, the only thing on social media every single day is their kid. It's like, look, he had an orange today, and today he snotted all over himself, and today he tried to take a first. He didn't take a first step, but he thought about it. It's like that's all you see is just shit about their kid. Nothing else in life. Not, hey, the dog's doing great. Hey, not, we went to this fun place. Not, hey, I did this great thing for my business, or I did this great thing to my house. If they do, it's like, hey, I put a new fence up and my kid's leaning on it. Or, hey, we got a new dog and here's the kid next to it. Or, hey, I paid off my house and here's me holding up my kid in front of my house to show off I paid off my, like, every fucking thing is their kid. And I get it, you're proud, it's your family, but like it becomes like almost a social media prop. Like, and there's plenty of women I know that they wanted to have kids because they saw Sarah had a kid, and they just want to do it so they can throw a bunch of pictures up on Instagram and whatnot. And granted, I'm sure there's more to it, but they love doing their pictures up and showing how many likes and stuff they can get with their kid. Have a kid to flex on the non-breeders. Return missionary at 18 for the return missionary to get and have a wife pregnant within a few months. It's absolute madness. Raw feeding. Clearly, you don't understand. There's money to be made. Very true. A prop. Yeah, and that's why I'm lucky. The last two people I've talked to, like neither one of them want kids. Um, and the one I was talking to before, as I said, she went and had the surgery done. The one I'm talking to now, granted she's younger, but she's flat out said like I don't want kids. Like she knows the financial strain, too much she wants to do with her life. Now, granted, who knows? In 10 years, when that clock starts running towards the end, will it be different? Who knows? Maybe. But she also had enough stuff happen in her childhood where she's like, she knows she wouldn't treat a kid the same way, but she doesn't want the risk of a kid running into that same issue, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, it's I hate it. I hate the objectification of children these days for multiple aspects. I mean, as I said, my own friends, like just everything they post, some of them is just their kid, and that becomes their entire identity. That's the only thing they're known for. It's like, well, what do you do? What are your hobbies? It's just like, kid. Okay, but like, what type of stuff do you like to do? Kid. Spend time with my kid. It's like, I get it. You love your kid. You should love your kid. You should love your kid probably more than anything. But like, what do you enjoy? It's like, oh, kid. So it's weird, and those aren't even people. And I'm talking about both people from both sides, people that are the left and right. It's just like, oh, Jesus. So that's just another reason I don't want one because I refuse to be that person. Japan isn't popping on enough kids. Just throw some kids at the problem. Maybe that will solve it. I have a feeling. I thought Japan was overpopulated as it is. I mean, I'm not saying they should like not have kids, but would it be a bad thing to maybe like I don't know, open up some space instead of like living in a closet as an apartment? Just maybe. It's food for thought. Food for thought. Um, and I get it. Like people aren't having kids as much as they used to, but at the same point, it's like we have such an abundance of population. I'm not one for population control or anything like that. I could give two shits, but it's like okay, like is it gonna really hurt us in the long run? Maybe it will. I don't know. I haven't done the math on it, but I have a feeling there's enough people I know that are having, you know, 8 kids with 5 different baby daddies that they can make up for the one I'm not gonna have. Law of numbers. I think I'm okay. So, but that's my thoughts there. Well, it's been a good check. I mean, shit, we've gone an hour, over an hour and a half. I think I've got up to 8 viewers at one point. Guess I should take a hiatus more often. But I'm gonna actually try to do this on more of a weekly basis. It's all gonna depend on travel and work and such, but I am going to aim to do this more often. Have a family of 5. I'm in a closet Japanese dream. No shit. Elon Musk thinks people not having kids is the world's greatest threat. Maybe that's why he's trying to have so many. That's why he's giving them numbers. He's running out of names. He has to give them numbers and codes. Although I guess he's also, I mean, and I like Elon, but he's also the guy that's like, oh, AI is going to rise up, and it's like, ah, you probably do need a lot of kids to fight the AI robots or something. Uh exactly. He's never gone to buy diapers or baby formula. Like that's another thing that freaks me. So like when we had, and I don't know if it's gotten better because I haven't paid attention to it. Um, but like with the whole baby formula shortage, like I can't imagine the stress that that would be as a parent having to go through that on top of the stress I have to deal with now with just work and life and paying the bills and everything to have the stress of like one additional stress of another human I gotta take care of on top of like the dog and the house and all that crap. But two, like now I can't get food for this human. I can't just give them anything. Like I gotta go try to find formula and like, good luck. Like no thanks. Rather not. Yeah, if I was Elon, I'd be breeding endlessly. Yeah, no, maybe, maybe, maybe. Well, I figure if you just have a couple, I wouldn't want a ton of kids, especially like if I'm Elon, I have all that wealth. I don't want a lot of kids fighting over it or splitting it. Like I just want a couple that I can give, a good chunk to each of them, let them have their own endeavors and make their own success and stuff. And I don't know. That's my mindset. He does, but I mean, you split it, especially if you get greedy people. Like they can make that disappear quick. I agree with that. Figure out the world's hunger problem before making more mouths to feed. Yeah. Again, like I don't think there should be population control, but I don't think people should be forced into having kids. And that's the thing. You see a lot of people getting pressured into having kids these days when they're not ready. They're just financially, mentally not ready to have kids, and these kids are going to be fucked up from it in the long run because they're not getting the love and support structure they need, and some of them are getting way worse. So breastfeeding is an option for most, not all. That's true. That's fair. If your wife is the breadwinner, you better hope their employer is cool with her bringing your baby to work. Yeah, yeah. Plus, two more like I had a running joke with one of my exes back in the day that I had a long-term relationship with because she really wanted kids, and I was like, yeah, maybe someday. But she was older than me, and she's like, the clock's running out. I'm like, maybe someday. We both had plenty of time at the time when we broke up, but I had said that like mental. I was like, you know me. I play long-term practical jokes. I'm a dark humor person. Like, I'm gonna raise this kid to have like a South African accent, and then that kid's gonna get in trouble at school, and then I'm gonna have to get called down to the school, and I'm gonna come in with like a South African accent, just throw the teacher for a loop before I break into my normal everyday speaking voice. And then my kid's gonna be really confused, but I'm gonna do that for 6 years or whatever until they hit kindergarten, just for a good laugh. I was like, I can't be responsible for a kid at that age. Now, granted, matured a little bit since then, but not much. So that's the type of stuff I can't be held responsible for. I had bosses flat out tell me not to hire women because they had babies and leave, so I hired two women. Oh, that's fucking great. Baby sealed the deal. That's the other thing too, is like so many people I know that they tried to make a relationship work that like they just weren't compatible, and like they had a kid and then they tried to make it work, and it causes the kid long term, issues. I mean, I'm not gonna give out names, but I have friends now that they were in relationships. They had a kid. That kid growing up knowing somebody is dad. Dad's not there anymore. They broke up. Dad's not because mom said dad couldn't be there, but dad just decided to be a deadbeat and bounce off. And now that kid is fucked up. Or kids are fucked up because they had this parent figure in their life for so long that's now abandoned them essentially, and they can't wrap their head around it. It's it's really sad for the kid. And it's like not fair for the kid, but family tried to make it happen, and where if they never had that kid, that relationship would have ended long ago, split its ways long ago, and no one would be hurt by it. But yeah. So I'm not saying kids are bad. Like if you're ready to have a kid and you're in a good hearty, like have a kid, have multiple kids. If you can afford them, fuck it, go for it. Like my buddy who makes bank and his wife makes bank and they have a great support. I don't understand why he's having more kids, and like they weren't trying to have a third. It just kind of it was one of those things. If it happens, it happens, and it happened. Um, and that's why he's moving because he's like, we need a bigger house. Like we bought this house with the intention of only having two kids, but we're having a third, and we can't really build onto it. So time to move, build a bigger house. Um, but with him, it's like, dude, have as many because you can afford them. Like you can afford them. You can build your own little tribe, and you have enough land to do whatever you want. You can have your own community if you want to of kids. But then my other friends that are like struggling to, they're living paycheck to paycheck. I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't have kids. Like you're talking about having a third kid or something or a second kid. No, that's a bad idea. So many parents out there should have never had kids. It's proven fact that single mothers breed champions. I will give credence to a lot of my friends who are single mothers that they are. I don't know how they do it. They are very strong people, and they do above and beyond what they can. So for those kids, it just still sucks because at the end of the day, like, yeah, they're rock star moms, but they still don't have that father figure, and like it does. There is a portion of that that does play into effect. So, but oh shit. Well, I'm probably only going to run this for maybe another 19 minutes or so, 18 minutes or so. Technically, I was supposed to be working this past 40 minutes, but it's okay. I won't get yelled at. So, but trying to think what else. What else do people want to talk about? I mean, we can keep on the kids aspect if you want, or we can shift lanes into something else. Trying to think of what else is going on in the world or has happened the past 2 months or so since I've been away. Uh, shit, I can't think of much. Huh. Hmm. Yeah, I've just been doing a lot of traveling, on the weekends. Hopefully, one of these weekends I'll actually be home on a Saturday. I can catch one of Honda's chats. I know this weekend I'm supposed to be home, but I might travel. Someone in my complex is actually playing music with. I might travel back up north for another date night or something. We'll see what happens with that. I haven't made specific plans yet. If not this weekend, then the following weekend probably. Because in the last weekend of September, I know I'm traveling. So, did I talk about House of the? I have not talked about House of the Dragon here. We talked about on Matt's chat, but I am always happy to bring up House of the Dragon. So, House of the Dragon is fucking awesome. If you haven't watched it, highly suggest you watch it. I'm enjoying it. It's 3 episodes now. I enjoy it just as much, if not more, than the first 3 episodes of Game of Thrones. Um, I did ruin it myself a little bit because I read into the lore of what's supposed to happen. Now, granted, I know just like Game of Thrones, they can change some stuff up, which I know they're going to. But yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. Much better than Lord. So I finally broke down today and watched Lord of the Rings while I was working. And I tell you what, I I don't know how. I love Lord of the Rings. I love that series. Like I grew up like watching the movies, reading the books. I even helped back in the day with a live action play of The Hobbit, like where they had like orc masks and stuff. Like I helped make the masks and everything. Like I love that stuff. I had all the toys, like Lord of the Rings toys growing up. Awesome. They somehow or another made Lord of the Rings incredibly boring with the new series. Visually, it's stunning, sure, but like it's just I I could give two shits about what storyline. Like I just it's boring to me. I was bored while I was sitting and watching it. I was maybe I need to go back and give it a second shot, but like the first round, I was just like, this is boring. Lord of the Rings though blew me out of the water. Enjoyed the hell out of it, or I'm enjoying the hell out of it. Now, granted, could they stab me in the back in the long run? Yeah, but I think they learned their lesson. We'll see after season one because it's only eight episodes. Where this week will be the halfway point, so we will see. We will see. But yeah, I'm enjoying House of the Dragon. See you later, Raw Feeding. Thanks for stopping by. Um, as I've said, like I do plan on keeping these going on Tuesdays, so leave in the comments, in the video and stuff like that, topics that you guys want to hit, or let me know like on Monday night chats or something, topics you want to hit, because I can write them down. Make it easy. Um, yeah. Well, good. I mean, yeah, it's a good show, and then I know we're getting. I thought we were getting another show coming up here. Maybe not. Thought we were. Oh yeah, we're getting Walking Dead coming back in a little bit. I'm up in the air about it. Um, Got to get super chat. So I need more subscribers. I think for super. I think at 1,000 subscribers you get super chats. I believe. So if I can get up to 1,000, um, Ferris and Littlefinger made you. I love those two. Like Littlefinger was the guy that like everyone hated. Like he was just such a conniving little shit. But that's what made him a great character, was because like yes, he was not a likable character, but he was a great character to watch. Same thing with Varys. Like Varys was, I shouldn't say I didn't dislike Varys. I actually liked him as a person, as a character. Like yeah, he was a little skinniver, fucking words, schemer. That's what I'm looking for. Conniving, but like he was fun to watch. So um I just kind of hated his death. Like that's the only thing that kind of sucked. Like I get why he died and stuff, but it just kind of sucked. Yeah, I gotta get Matt and Honda to plug my chat. Yeah, if somebody got a super chat, that'll be dope. But new season of Netflix. Yeah, Walking Dead. I've been following it along, and like now that's at the end, I'm like, I gotta rough it out for the end piece. I'm excited to see what happens, but at the same time, I'm not like amped because I just I, I'm setting that expectation really low, and I'm hoping that they pleasantly surprise me. So we'll see. But that's my mindset on Walking Dead. And I don't really think we got much for other shows for the rest of the year. Like I thought there was another Marvel show coming out, but I could be wrong on that. I don't think we're getting any Star Wars stuff. Well, we're getting Andor. I'm looking forward to Andor. Um, that should be fun. Trying to think what else. Outside that, I don't think we're getting any Star Wars stuff until next year. Um, if you're into car stuff, I know Grand Tour has another special coming out. I think on the 16th. That's Scandinavia. Uh, I just saw that on Instagram today. I'm trying to think what else TV wise. Rick and Morty, I'm gonna be excited for. Like that'll be fun. I still need to watch the first episode of the new season because I haven't done that yet. Um, hmm. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else right now that's like popping off that I can really think of exciting wise. Uh, yeah, it's all. Yeah, so scam the Navy. Yeah, scam the Navy. What about Peaky Blinders? I haven't started the news. So Peaky Blinders is a show that I have not gotten into. I I'm intrigued. Like I people have told me I need to start it. I don't know how many seasons there are of it. It's tough for me to start a show that has like more than 3 seasons just because I have to play so much catch up and I don't have time to. Now there are exceptions. Like sometimes I will do it. Now that the winter's coming up, I'm hoping also to with girl I'm talking to, hopefully getting a vehicle, a replacement vehicle soon. Like she'll be able to come down and visit me more, so I won't have to do so much traveling on the weekends, which would open up the ability for me to watch more shows. We'll see what happens. Um, watch it ASAP. That's what I've seen like clips online, and it looks like a great show because I really like what's his name, Killian Murphy, I think is his name. I like him. I like Tom Hardy. Um, I like that cast. So it looks and the whole concept like post World War One veterans like forming a gang, like that seems really interesting to me. So I do need to probably start. Again don't know how many seasons, so I got to look into that. I got to start also because I love Yellowstone. So people have been telling me I need to start that. Was it 1873 or 1886 or whatever the hell it is? I got to start that. Because I love Yellowstone. So, oh, excuse me. I've heard that's really good. Um, hmm, what else is out there? I'm sure there's other shows I'm missing. I still got to finish off the last season. What was the most recent season of Cobra Kai? Was it season 5? So I got to watch that and season 4 because I don't think I watched season 4. So I got to watch both of those. Like, there's a lot of TV I got to catch up. I honestly just do not have time to watch a lot of TV anymore. Like, really, Sunday night is just about it, and that's maybe for a couple hours because the rest of the time I'm working anymore or I'm traveling. So it's tough. It's tough, but hopefully with the winter coming up, things will slow down a little bit, like slow down in a good way a little bit, and I can open up some TV time. But we will see. I know the rest of September is going to be busy. Like the last couple weeks and weekends in September are going to be real busy. I know like the first couple weekends in October are going to be busy. Most of October is going to be busy because I got stuff going on. I got to travel up north for, and then I have a couple events down here while my buddy's getting ready to move. He wants to throw like one last big shindig at his house. 'Cause so we bought this house years ago, spent all this money and time transforming the basement into a man cave, never used it. And now he's putting the house on the market. He's like, I want a single weekend when all the boys come over, and like no one's allowed upstairs. We just utilize the man cave and we just have a fun time. So that's going to be one weekend. Um, so yeah, it's going to be a busy October. So who knows? Come November, maybe stuff will start slowing down enough I can start watching some television again. But well, we've been going for almost 2 hours, folks. Um, I I say this from the bottom of my heart. I really sincerely appreciate everyone that showed up. I was not expecting the turnout that we had tonight, so really glad to have this turnout. Um, you know, as I said, let me know below the things you like, the things you didn't like, the things you want to talk about in the future. Happy to bring those up next chat. I'm going to actually put in here right now. Make sure I schedule another chat here next Tuesday. I think we might just name this the early chat too, like early chat with Angry or something like that. Um, so yeah, so thank you everybody. Feel free to spread the word about the chat. Feel free to spread it with your friends. Well, thank you guys that comments. I appreciate that. Yeah, hopefully we can grow this and nothing too crazy in the future, but at least something that some people can really enjoy. We can get some people on here to have some good conversations and take it from there. So thank you everybody. Have a great rest of the night. Check out Matt's chat here in whatever the hell it is, like another hour or so. I don't even know when he runs his late. It's like 10 Eastern or something like that. If you're awake, I know it's late for some of you, early for others. But yeah, I'll catch you all next week. Deuces.